Well, hello there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am super excited that we have two very special people joining me today. One of them, of course, is our principal, Shelley Hovison, and our special guest is Tim Wilman, and we are super excited to have him. He's coming to us all the way from Manchester in the United Kingdom. So we are happy that he has joined us. Of course, it's 7 o'clock for him. Hi, Tim.
Hello, hi.
I hope we haven't disrupted your cocktail hour.
No, just having it here with me.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, I want to introduce everyone to Tim. Thank you so much for joining us. We have lots to share. Tim has had over 4 decades of experience in the luxury interiors market. He started at the very young age of 15 and has trained as an apprentice specializing in hand painted wall covering. From there, he pursued his passion for quality and design and craftsmanship in the Parisian luxury market, working alongside top designers such as, and actually had supplied lavish artworks for, I think, YSL, Tim, and Christian Dior. And after absorbing all of this inspiration in Paris, Tim actually returned back to the UK. So there he established his own design studio and became the art director for Keller Roll. And then in 2000, because he didn't have enough to do, he founded a company called Art House, which was the world's leading wallpaper suppliers, which he then sold in 2011. And of course, Tim got bored because he's a creative soul at heart, and then now has reestablished a new company, and Tim designs wall covering globally. And we've had the pleasure of working with Tim for, I think, over 5 or 6 years now. And he's just incredibly talented and creative. And we thought, although we'd like to keep him all to ourselves, we always have such a fun time with him. We thought he just had so much knowledge and he's so creative. We wanted to share that with all of you. So, Tim, as I said, welcome.
Great, thank you very much, Lisa. Thanks for inviting me. Can't wait to chat.
Our pleasure. Now, Tim, you said when we initially got on the call, while we were waiting, you said there might be big loud bangs in the background. What's going on there?
Yeah, we have Bonfire Night tonight.
Bonfire Night.
Yeah, Bonfire Night. Well, basically, Bonfire Night was created from the 16th century. Can you imagine this? This guy called Guy Fawkes decided he was going to try and blow up Parliament. It was called the Gunpowder Plot. And that's what honest, that was called the Gunpowder Plot. And this poor guy, well, not poor guy, he gets caught. So, and they decide to, what they're going to do with him, they're going to burn him. So, I mean, the kids don't realize this now because they just think it's fireworks night. But basically, it starts off, they burn the guy. And ever since that night, it's called Bonfire Night. And basically, we, the whole country, everyone's garden, everybody's, used to be big parks and social events, but now because of COVID, it's going to be everybody's garden. There's fireworks goes off, they go off all night. And people forgot the reason why it started, but that's the reason why it started. It's good fun.
Oh, well, okay. Well, so now if we hear big bangs, we won't be nervous. We'll know it's what it is.
See some flashes in the background, you'll see it going.
Okay.
Oh, I just saw one. Yeah.
You see one, yeah?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they're nowhere near. They're big. These are big fireworks. People buy ultra-sized boxes. You know how big. I mean, when you drive around in your car with all these explosives, can you imagine it? Light them up.
So, Tim, I think before we share some of your wonderful work with everyone, maybe you can give us some idea of your background, kind of how you got started. I'm actually going to share our screen here because I have a wonderful photo of you. Who's that, Tim?
Oh, wow.
You know, when I first started that, believe it or not, I was about, I don't know, 18 and a half, 19 there. That's when I first went to Paris. And I'd worked for 3 years before that as an apprentice for a company called Newbold and Horton. And the guy that was the owner of the company was a brilliant artist, the best watercolor artist I've ever met. And he said he had his wild voice, he had his wine like this. He goes, "Oh, Tim," he used to drink like a fish. "Well, Tim, if you want to be a bloody good artist," he said, "you've got to go to Paris. Oh, boy, go to Paris." I was, "Are you sure, Michael? Are you sure?" He said, "Go to Paris, my boy." Anyway, he arranged a trip to Paris. I was supposed to stay there 3 months, and there's it's called a stage, which is sort of mini apprenticeship. And I ended up staying 3 years, and that's the first job I got. It was with a lady called Nicole Bardoni, and I was the youngest by a mile, obviously, but the other younger people was 79 and 80, and they're only working because they don't want to be with their families, they want to be with their wives, they want to be working. It was a start of training, but I was only there in that studio for about 6 months because they were very slow, and I wanted to be fast. And Nicole, who was the owner, she's a fantastic lady, classical music playing all night. It was amazing, all day. And Nicole said, "Tim, you need to go to a faster studio where it's a bit more dynamic." And she introduced me to Lizzie Derrier's, it was called, which was a studio in Paris, which is on Rue Faubourg Saint-Honoré, which is where all the design studios, Yves Saint Laurent, Christian Dior, all the major brands are all on the same road. So you could buy fabrics, you buy apparel, you could buy designs, you could buy anything towards the design industry. You'd buy from that street, and it's still there now. The street's there, but the big studios that I worked in are all gone. They couldn't. It was. Imagine this is a building with 40 designers, and each room had sort of 5 or 6 designers crammed in. And we were in a fast room, so we'd be fast whipping designs out, throw them over your shoulder, and you get another one going, and it's fantastic. And then you'd have another room that was very slow doing paisleys, another room doing something else. And at the end of the time there was just brilliant. In England, they did 1 design a week. In Paris, they did 8 designs a day. And it was just all about flair. It was all about showing flair and passion. And at the end of the week, the lady there called Madame Long would pick the designs, a big pile, and she'd go through, flick the ones that were rubbish over her shoulder, and the good ones she'd put on a good pile. And then at the end of the month, you'd see the best artist got a bottle of champagne and Moet. And it was never me. I was always young and learning, but I was copying all the best designers. I was seeing how good they were, learning the techniques. And it was great. I came back and I was massively ahead of my contemporaries in the UK because I was trained so well, and it was a great experience. And I love it to this day. I'm great. I've still got friends there, and I still go back. But unfortunately, the big studios have gone, and they tried to keep us working. It's like really slave, right? Come on. It's great fun. And this is the studio that I'm in now. And this studio is basically, it's a very old mill. It was a fabric mill, so a cotton mill. And in Manchester, in this whole area, because it was damp, and it's always damp, it was great for cotton because if it's too dry, it broke up and the fibres went everywhere. So the damp kept the cotton easier to handle. And this is on the left, this is the building I'm in, and this is it's called Pear Mill. And as you can see, the architect decided to build a huge pear on the roof. So, I don't think you'd be allowed to do that now, but it's a great. You can see it for miles. And the studio, I've been here quite a long time, and to find a studio that looks like this these days with this space is very, very hard. I love it. It's an old mill. I love it because it's got the light. It's got the really big areas to lay products out, and you can see designs. it's a great space.
Yeah, it is a great space. I mean, Shelley, you and I have been there, and it's just there's so much light, and Tim, you have so much room to, test all your designs and lay them out on these large tables. I know it's really lovely to go and see, and also be in an area where it's still kind of in the art district. You feel very inspired there.
You feel part of it, don't you? You feel. I mean, I think the studio, the room you're in, is very important. I think the ambience you create gives the people who work here the feeling that what they're doing. And it's very sterile environments with very low ceilings and bad light. And designers need light, and they need space. They need, it can't be too tidy. They need to throw things around, and they need to investigate things and design, throw them on the floor and have a look at them, designs. So yeah, really important, the space. I was very lucky to find it.
Now, what's this?
This is Heimtex. It's an exhibition stand that we're just about to build, or in the process of building. And this is, I go to exhibitions all around the world. This happens to be in Frankfurt in Germany. It's normally on in January. And there's about 75, 80 different countries visit that show. So for me, as a worldwide design company, we're selling to 50, 55 countries, and all the distributors can go to the show and you can meet them in a one-stop shop, really. So it's on for 4 days. It's a great show, and enables us to make contact with the distributors, because that's who we sell through, distributors, and get in contact with them. It's everybody goes, so it's less cost, and we can have a chat, and it's brilliant, because you meet someone from India one day, you meet you guys from Canada, you go another day, it could be China, and it's amazing. And what I love about it, they're all wallpaper lovers. You know what I mean? They love wallpaper, so that's great.
Now, Tim, that's got to be, we've talked about this before, but I don't know that our audience today understands how challenging, or I guess difficult, it can be designing for a global market, and even coloring for a global market, because it really is very different, isn't it?
Yeah, to a degree. I think in every market, there's people that we're aiming at are design-led, affluent people, but luxury people are into a luxury item. And wherever you go around the world, there's a kind of that type of person that wants that type of product. And the colours, beige and cream, taupes, they're the ones that always sell anyway. And these are what we're looking for. Wherever I go, I'm looking for design inspiration. So I'm permanently walking around with a camera. I'm permanently walking around with a phone. I'm shooting everything from shirt. You can see shirts, jackets. I'm in the street. I'm walking around. And actually, the building with the what they call the geese.
Yeah.
Is near your hometown. When I came to Hazleton, so I think that's a great. That geese, if you put that onto wallcover, would sell fantastically. So it's just permanently going to look out. I'm getting feedback, and I'm absorbing like a big sponge. So absorbing as much information as possible, color, pattern. So when I go to China, I go to Russia, I go to India. You go to exhibitions, you go to shops, and I always have time to try and get people to show me around and see the culture. So you're getting the feedback, and you never know where great designs come from. It can be inspiration from anywhere.
And that center photo, that's from Maison Objet, yes? That's that Deco?
Yeah, Decoff, yeah. So Maison Objet is on it's twice a year, actually. It's a great show. That's called in an area called Saint-Germain-des-Prés, which is right in the middle of, in fact, there's a cafe there called Cafe de Mega, where all the artists used to go. So it's a very artist quarter. And that's where all the design shops and centre now. So all the editors, they're called over there. are in this area. So it's great to see what everyone's doing, what the colours and the vibe is at the time, and it's just beautiful to see it look around because they do all these really lovely things around the streets. So it's lanterns one year, it could be big furniture, it's all sorts. It's really good.
Right.
So it's good fun to go. I love Paris because of my time there. Oh yeah, so there's the design that we were influenced by. So this is obviously I saw your Hazelton, and then the design we created is we're just about to launch. So it was definitely feedback from how to get inspiration. But it's a great place.
Kelly, is that sassafras, do you think? What is that?
No, because they were yellow before. It's not sassafras, but at first it's very reminiscent of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either, Tim. I don't know when you saw that, but I mean, I've been to Yorkville. Obviously, we live close by a number of times, but I've not seen that. But it's
on the side street. You've got the main Hazelton Hotel row street.
Yeah.
And then you've got the street beyond. It's what you cross. It's where you cross. It's like the alleyways, isn't it? You go between.
Yeah.
Right. One of the
in real life, that's absolutely gorgeous. That building. In fact, the whole area is gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely.
The place I'd love to move to is that area. It's gorgeous, really special. Yeah,
so
I spent 2 days walking around there, and it's just fantastic.
And this particular pattern, then, I think is it coming? You've done it in 3 or 4 colors. We'll be launching it very soon.
That's right. Yeah, 4 colors. We're just so we got a range of colors, and it looks great. I mean, it's been manufactured. It's manufacturers making the books now. So
very cool.
Okay.
And so this is more inspiration.
Yeah, this is either from different exhibitions or different places I've been. I was just for interest, the design on the left, at the bottom left, that's a lampshade. So that's light coming through a lampshade. The pattern and design, just that they can transform that into a design for wall coverings or fabric. It's beautiful, isn't it? But it's what you're getting from that is texture, color, vibrance, effect, and it's you just got to take influences from all those areas and all that type of thing, and you think, wow, just great. It's and I've got 40 on my phone. What is about 47,000 pictures. So don't ask me if I find anyone because it takes me a long time to scroll.
That is unbelievable. Wow.
Honestly, I've got to have the biggest memory on my phone because it's so much.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great shot, and these are boards that we create. So basically, once I've done my research and I'm getting my influences, I start to look at what the market's doing. So these are products from around the world of different, either in stores or from magazines or off Pinterest, and so I'm permanently, and I create sort of board about, so I'm homing in about what do we want, what's popular. And I've got to bear in mind that wall coverings is just a part of a room. So you're looking at fabrics, so your sofa, you're getting your rugs, you're going to get your kitchen, what's your kitchen going to look like, your bedroom and your curtains. And I've got to look at feel about all those things, and what are the colors, what are the popular colors, what are people buying? And I've got to look at, make sure that the designs we create fit in with those things. And if you create something that's so alien that doesn't go, you're never getting any sales. It's going to link to the market.
Right.
So it's very important. So we do lots of these boards. I mean, I've got hundreds of them. These are just different types of ones, just to sort of demonstrate what we do, and kind of focus your mind. I mean, damask are always classic damasks are always great, but kind of you've got to interpret it in a different way, and they seem to always sell. But so they're a basic for any studio will have a good damask. And then, you know, geos are coming in everywhere, aren't they? So, and big scale geos and small scale and textured geos. It's just really, it's exciting actually. Design's going, there's so many different mediums and different sorts of good design that you can sell these days. And it's great. It's, especially the high end that we're in is more flexible because you've got more chance of getting more techniques and develop more ideas if you've got not a restriction on where it's going to go on a very low price.
Right.
You know, it makes a big difference that you can add more to the product. This is how we create the designs. I mean, sometimes we buy artwork and we even create our own artwork. We sit down and paint our own artwork. Or this is on the photograph on the left. This is Clive creating an artwork on the CAD. We've got a CAD. We have 4 CAD systems. AVA is called. And basically, you can manipulate designs, create designs, and most designers today will use that form to create the designs. And then you can separate it in multiple colors. So it's once you get that design and you can separate it. So the middle disc is a color wheel, which I use every day. And you can create millions and millions of different colors with this wheel. And then on the blocks on the side are layers. So each color has got its own layer. So you can build it up. So on the floral design, you can have a different background color, you can have a different leaf color, you can have a different stem color, and you create layers because we know that because we're designers, we're not making art, we're making designs that fit machinery. It's got to be printable. So maximum colors really on a conventional machine are 8. And you've got to be able to make sure you can transfer that design to 8 files, become rollers, and then they become designs. And the machine on the bottom left, that's a great technology. It's an HP machine. It's called a Latex Printer. It prints on anything. So we can print our own wallpaper samples, our own fabric samples, or anything. We can print on size, or we can print on anything. It's amazing.
Wow.
And that's I think the biggest technology move forward in our industry. And you've seen digitals grow now, haven't we? Digitals are growing more and more. It's still expensive, but for me to trial designs is tremendous because I can print on embosses, I can print on all sorts of different techniques to get the feel. So I'm not having to buy investment into cylinders. I see it first and then go, okay, it works. It makes it more. You can try more things without massive cost.
Right.
And the bottom right, we hang every design, we hang all the products and test them and scale them, and we see the hang right. And in the studio here, we hang. There's a corner that we hang every single piece, every product we launch. We hang, we look at, we test, and we look at how it looks in a room. You know, it's very important that we get a feel for it. So yeah. It's a great process. It's years ago, you can do that whole process now with one person. Years ago, you'd have to have a color mixer, a printer, an artist to paint it, an artist to color it. I mean, you need about 7 people to make the design. So it's easier and flexible, and it's great to do. And I love it. I color all the time. Each collection will do maybe 400 colorways to get the 50 we launch. So we do a lot of color. Color is the main thing. The design's got to be great, but the color's got to be better. If it's a very badly colored design, you can have a great design and color it badly, won't sell. You get a bad design that's colored great, it's still got a chance of selling. So people buy color and they buy the look. But so I'm fanatical on color. It's going to be great, and it's going to fit in with people's homes, what people
Right.
are buying. Yeah.
Do you ever have do you ever have a great design, but it's just so difficult to color that it just doesn't come to fruition?
Yeah, we have that. We have some designs that just don't look right, or sometimes you're trying to force a color into design and it just doesn't work. It's not often, but it does happen, and you're just going to call it a day. You know, I just won't launch it because the color has to be, it has to be right. It has to be balanced. It has to be something that someone was going to buy, because it's otherwise. And I've canned collections. I've actually canned. I've done a whole collection, and I thought, gone away. I thought, came back, so it's just not good enough, and I've thrown a whole thing on the floor, and I've started again because it's not good enough. You know,
Right.
you've got to have. There's a whole. I have a saying. I will not accept that'll do. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
If everyone says, "Oh, it'll do." I don't know if you have that in Canada. You have that saying, "That'll do."
We do.
I go, "No way, it'll do." It's going. Out.
Well, now, Tim, when I first saw this, actually, Shelley and I both, when we first saw this image, we thought it was fabric and then realized that it wasn't. So maybe you can explain that to our guests today.
Yeah, well, basically, Sisal are natural products, and I went to mainly South Korea, where it comes from, but there's different areas, but they're the probably most stable people to buy it from. And basically, the size is a reed, and so the guy on the left-hand picture is basically they pick the reeds, they strip them, and they tie them in knots so they become a reel. And the guy, it's a lady in the picture, sorry, is basically she makes reels, and then she puts it through an oven, and it's a steamer, and they cleanse it and clean it and make sure they purify it. And at some stage they might dye it at that point, but generally they're cleaning it and make sure it's purified. And then from those reels, it gets sent to the factories, and then the factories transfer it to these bobbins. So these bobbins are basically long strips of reeds that have been cleaned and sterilized, and then they're all tied in tiny knots. So it depends how fine or big you want the design, is how big you have the reeds. And it's exactly the same as fabric. There's a warp and a weft. So the warp will be could be string, or it'll be a wire or a linen. Yeah, so you've got this. So this is a loom, and if the looms are exactly as a fabric loom would be from decades ago, and basically they've got the warp which is going down, and then they create the design by bringing the reeds across. They put them across, and they push them in, and they can have different patterns and different styles and different thicknesses. And then what they do from this, they'll take this product and they'll glue it to a base, which could be, it's a non-woven base mainly, but it could be metallic, it could be metal base, it could be, there's whatever they want to try and get. It could be gold, it could be silver. It's generally got some sort of shine to it, and they'll stick it on, and then they'll dye it, and then you can print over it. And it's a very, very, that's why it's so expensive, because it is literally handmade. And it's, people think, oh, it's a big machine, but it's not. It's very labor intensive. It's very slow. This could take them, to do a roll, it could take them, 10 rolls could take them a day, so it's a very, people hang it on the wall, and you buy it from the shop. And you think, well, it's just a roll, but the effort and work that's gone into that's amazing. And I was grateful to see it, because I wanted to understand it more. And I took these photographs of the process. And I just thought it's beautiful, and that's why this product's not designed to be seamless on the wall. It's not designed to be a perfect match. It's designed to not match. It's designed to be a panel. And it's designed to be a natural look, and it's a very expensive look. And because it's handmade, it's natural. No piece is the same. It's completely, it's individual.
So that, Tim, that would be the finished product on the right there.
It's the finished product, yeah.
Wow, it's
So
amazing.
yeah, so particularly that's a product that would, they can balance it, they can make it that's a very, the pattern repeat's very simple, but they can put all sorts of different design and pattern into it. So there's an awful lot of them, and it's great to see. Yeah, and this is the same factory. They also make cork wallpaper, and cork wallpaper is it's what it is. It's cork, and you have to take, basically the cork comes from a tree, which is it's off the bark. So the trees actually don't get destroyed. It's same as you take cork from a bottle of wine. The trees grow cork and then they cut it off. So it's not it's
I like the analogy, Tim.
well, you're going to have that. I mean, it's what it's all about, isn't it? And it's very thin layers, okay, and then there's square panels of about a foot square, and then you make it into a yard. So because it's a foot square and it's the old-fashioned way, it's a yard it's a yard width, and they then glue it to, again, it could be a metallic ground or whatever ground they like. And these machines, again, run incredibly slowly, and they glue it. It's very difficult because the cork's very, very fine. It's almost as thin as paper. You touch it, you'll just break it. So they've got to glue it on very carefully. And then it's probably a couple of microns, which is less than a millimeter thick. And then they just run it through, and then they can print on top of this, or they can lacquer it, or they can dye it. But this is the first stages of the cork. And again, it's a beautiful product because it's all natural. And it's great to hang because it's on a non-woven ground, but it's it's a natural product. Always great to see it.
Ooh, what's this?
This is a factory, so not my best picture, but it was one of these panoramic pictures. And this was a factory in Italy, near Milan. And this is probably one of the best factories in the world. Every design house editor will work from this factory. It's very high end. And this is a brand new machine he just put in. And basically it's got 8 stations. So the little legs sticking out, a lot like teeth, they're individual stations. And this machine, which is where the rollers go. So each roller goes into a station. So you can have 8 colors. And this machine can print gravure, which is a metal steel cylinder, which is very fine print. Or it can print a screen, which is basically a cylinder, which is a screen printed silk, which is punched holes through. But basically, it can do lots of different techniques on this machine, and it can run up to the opposite to the cork machine. This can run up to 2,000 pieces, 200 pieces per minute, which is meters. And it can do about 2,000 rolls per shift, which is an 8-hour shift. So it's expensive, fast.
How much does that cost, Tim, that machine there?
It's about £2 million. So I don't know what's that in US dollar, Canadian dollars, but it's probably about 3.5, isn't it? 3.5 Canadian dollars. So it's very big investment. And this guy's got about 6 of them, and they're all pumping them rolls out like you wouldn't believe. He's got, it's all water based, so it's a very special. The other thing about it is water based, very environmentally friendly. He makes his own steam, creates steam as part of his factory, which he also sells back to the what's it called, electrical board, and he makes his own base, which is the base they print on. That's all manufactured there. So it's a very high tech special factory to go in, and it's there's me in that factory there. There's me and one other guy, because it's so computerized. You don't have many people there.
Wow.
I'm colouring, and he's operating the machine. And I'm locked in there. I can be locked in there for about 3 or 4 days, what it takes to make a few designs there. So we go and strike, and he'll do the sampling, and we'll pass the sample, and he makes the whole run. But it's a great place to go, and
Wow.
I quite like it because it's an hour away from the Ferrari factory as well, so you can see the cars zipping by.
Let me
Take a
just see.
zip.
I'm trying to get us to the next screen here, but I think I'm stuck. Let me just see here. Come on. There we go. Ooh.
Well, these are different techniques that you can, just to give you an example of where wall covering is going and gone and is. And the right hand shot is cork, so that's the finished product from the cork machine that we've just seen. So it just gives you an idea of how fantastic it can look. And the middle one is crease paper, which is, again, that's a creased product, laminated to a paper. So there's 2 ways they can do that. They can either literally crease paper and stick it on, or they can do an interpretation of that, which is on vinyl, which is basically vinyl. They heat the plastisol so it's pliable, and they have a cylinder that presses down, and then it creates the shape because you've got that designs in the cylinder, and it goes to a very cold cylinder that freezes it and makes it really hard. And then you've got natural products like the shells and the broken glass, and these are very, very high-end popular products that are selling really, all over the world now. And it's just so natural. I mean, for me, when I started wall coverings, this was a dream. You could never make anything like this. The size you could, but this is just where wallpaper is going, and it's so exciting. So technically, it's very, very, it's all very handmade. So this is not for mass-produced product. You can only do short runs. It's handmade. It's natural product. So it's great. But it's beautiful when it's finished.
Tim, can I ask you, can you tell us a little bit about mica? You see it in so many different forms. I know you've spoken about using it on the ground, and you can have it varying, shiny down to more like just a dull sheen. Is that a type of rock?
It comes from particles. It's an aluminium, actually. So it depends what sort of mica there is. There's mainly mica is a particle of an aluminium particle, and it's designed so it's cut so it's like tiny little grains of sand. So it's got edges. So the edges are polished. You can imagine. So the light hits an edge, it shines, but they're very, very small. And you can have different degrees. So you can have very big particles or very fine particles, and you can basically the more you can. If you have 100% coverage, it's incredibly shiny. If you had 5% and you've mixed it with the glue, so you have 5%, it becomes less shiny.
Right.
And you can also what you don't stain the particle. What you do is you add ink color to the glue or the medium. So you mix that in, which then the aluminium changes color because it reflects the ink that's around it. But there's different types. There's mica, which is the mass market shine that people would use.
Okay.
Then there's a very high shine metallic, which is purer, and you buy that by the gram through a factory. It's incredibly expensive. You can only use it in small areas of a design because it's so expensive for a factory to use, and you can't do 100% coverage. So when you do a design, you have a screen, and the bottom of the screen will have a percentage, and if the factory prices it on the percentage of the coverage. So if you've got 8% coverage, you're going to pay a lot. If you've got 5% coverage of the overall design, you're going to pay less. But basically, it's particles. And also, you're going to be able to get the particles through the screens or the roller. So it can't be too big, or else it won't fit in. It's like a, can you imagine if it's like a bucket pumping, little buckets pumping ink on to a roll. So you're going to fit what's in the bucket's going to come out, you'll be able to fit it in. This is another product we use. It's called, it's got glass beads. This is probably without a doubt, our best-selling, loved type of product. This is glass beads, which is pure glass, tiny little balls of beads that you glue on, and you can either put them on straight as a glass bead, but I like to put metallic within the glass bead. So basically, the glue's got the metallic in, which makes it really shiny anyway, and then you put the glass bead on top that catches the light. It's amazing. And the design on the left is a damask. That's got an iridescent ink as well. So it's got a background of an iridescent ink. So when you move it around or you're in your room, it can look cream, it can look slightly orange, it can slightly beige, changes color. And then you've got the glass beads on top that are also reflective.
Wow.
It's an amazing look. And this is basically put on with a cylinder that lays down that the design is in the glue. So you can imagine you've got on the simple design on the right, that's a printed glue. And then they pour the beads through a tunnel, bounce up and down on the rolls as the machine's going through, it bounces up and down. And then they've got a big hoover sucking it all off. And so the beads only stay where they're supposed to, where it's glued, and it gets sucked away. But it's a messy job, and it's beads go everywhere, but it's
yeah, I mean, I know some people who've installed this. Some of the designers have had some concerns because, some of the beads come off, but that's natural for that to happen.
Yeah, it's only where there's, where it hasn't, where it's glued, the glue's incredibly strong, and it's designed to hold. But obviously, when it's a natural product like that, when it's being rolled, there's obviously the odd loose speed, but it's not going to detrimental to the design. Right. It's not be. It's just because it is being made in that way, and the hoover may not pull all the beads off when it's being rolled and wrapped. Right. But where it's glued, it stays on, and it's pretty. We always use. There's certain factories that can make this do it incredibly well, and we always use the best of class. So whoever's doing it right and doing it well, and we've been doing it for a long time and never had any issues. But it is about the glue. This is flock. I mean, flock's been in and out of the market, hasn't it? And it's sort of, I still think it's got a really fantastic feel. It was probably 10 years ago, it was really popular, and I still think it's very strong now. And flock's made in a crazy way. It's basically the same principle of the glue, but the flock is a fiber, and it's fiber poured onto the rolls, and it bounces up and down again. But in this time, you put a static electricity through it.
Oh, right.
As a static hits it, you go, like your hair goes on end. Mm-hmm. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same principle, but these little fibers stay on their ends. So when they go on the ends, they sit on the glue, and then they hoover it off the remainder, and you get the design. And you can get very high fiber or lower fiber, depending what your design you'd like. But I love flock. I mean, it gives you a great tactile feeling, and it makes the design really look luxurious and warm, doesn't it?
Yeah, I sadly, I think, at least most designers that would be in my age range, the very first experience I had with flock was like an Elvis painting, yeah. And so I think a lot of us at that age kind of go there, kind of, oh, I can't go there, I can't do that. But seeing a lot of the beautiful patterns, like that gorgeous pattern at the top there, the geometry there is just beautiful, and the dimension that's coming out is graphic is lovely. So I think, you know, a flock in that case really gives it a tremendous amount of dimension. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think, you know, you see that on the wall up to that, it looks amazing. And I agree with you. I mean, we've all had memories of, I mean, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in the UK, it used to be restaurants would all have them, and it was all bright red, and it would all be a bit, but then it came back in fashion really, really in a big way. And it's still there. And it's one of those elements you think, well, it's still a luxurious looking product, and it gives that sort of tactile feeling and beautiful texture of the wall. So nothing beats it. You know, flock. I don't think there's anything has been anything as good as flock. These are again different sizes from the same factory, and there's so what you got there is you got some that are printed with gold on top, which is a screen print over the top, so it's dyed sisal, like the one the black one with the gold, and then it's screen print gold over the top of it, which so it creates a pattern. And the one with the little square rectangular little blocks, that's a high raised ink. So that's a sisal ground, and then it's got a screen printed ink with the screens thick, so it lays down a real thick layer of this solid massive ink, and then that's heated in an oven and it goes hard. But you know what we can do with this type of product now, you can, with technology, you can screen on it, you can block it, you can digitally print on it, you can put lacquers through it, you can put on different grounds. It's a very versatile product, and it just gives, again, it's a real natural feeling, isn't it? It's a great look.
The one on the bottom right looks amazing. Is that a pleated?
Yeah, it's a pleated fabric, and very specialized. There's a couple of factories that can do this. One in France that's quite good, and this is very few, but it's a pleated fabric. It's basically pleated and glued, so it's very, very again labor intensive, but it looks amazing when it's. And there's the factory in France can do the same thing, but it's silk. They do it with silks, so it's got a beautiful silk finish. So it's a bit more shiny. So this is textural, and it's woven. And then you get a silk is just basically fantastic colors and silks, but it's like a ripple effect. It's a great product.
Well, I'm actually seeing a lot more of that pleated feel and upholstery and drapery and different types of pleats coming into the market, and nice to see it on wall covering as well. Shelley, would you agree?
Yeah, totally. Lots of like surface interest, right? Like dimension. So
yeah,
I'm just noticing here you can really see those knots that are all throughout. And when you start to think about how many times they're tying those knots in your one length of paper, that's insane, right? Like
it is. I mean, you can see them now, can't you? And it is incredible. I mean, I could not believe. And they had bales and bales that they'd made or knotted these bales. It was incredible.
I'm not sure when we get it, we appreciate how labor intensive it was to make it.
Yeah. I think you know most products people don't take for granted what's gone behind the skill of it.
Well, you just automatically think a machine did this, could, you know.
Yeah, but they didn't, and it's and that's why it's so good. And I hope that never dies away, you know, because it's a natural product. It's made by hand. It's the people do it, by the way, are really passionate about it. They love it, and there's only a few factories can do it now. The one in Korea is his son's taken over, thank goodness, but the father's in his 80s. So the son's taken over, and he's really keen as well. But
is it primarily because people aren't going into that trade? They can't get skilled trades to do it anymore, or?
Yeah, I think it's so specialized. And there is, it's trying to get people to go into that industry. It's a specialized trained thing to do. And so it's not easy to keep this, pass it on, pass that experience on.
Right.
But they've got a good team there. This is vinyl at the moment. So vinyl's created by, it's basically a non-woven ground with a plastisol surface, which is generally made at the factories. They put a plastisol on. The plastisol is going to be completely flat. So if there's any bumps or lumps, it creates, it won't work properly. And then you get a roller so you heat the vinyl up, you go like an oven, so a loaf of bread going through, so it goes slightly rises, goes through the oven, and then you get the emboss cylinder, which has got the pattern in, rolls onto it and creates the pattern, and then it goes through another roller that's ice cold, like a minus 40 or whatever, and it freezes it instantly and makes it incredibly hard. And again, vinyl is an amazing product. It sells worldwide. It's more durable. It's very good, great for hotels and hallways and heavy duty areas because it's quite durable. It's washable. It's wipeable. It's got all of, it's very easy to hang. So yeah, it's probably the strongest product that you can get in the market, and it's good for heavy duty areas as well as nice areas because it creates a great effect. But it is something more that you put into you could put into a hallway or
Right.
wherever. But it's so versatile, very versatile. This is different forms of metallic. Again, so just to give you an idea of what I use a lot of metallics, and then to my, I'm like a magpie. I see a bit of shine, and I'm jump on it. It's but yeah, but again, that's what just as I explained before about the mica and the heavy metallic. If
Right.
it's more aluminium based, the more expensive it is. And but if you use it in the right way, you get hints and it can reflect, and especially iridescent. It's incredible. Now this is a snippet of what we're working on. Some new ideas actually. So we're just working on the new collections, which obviously would be normally launched in January, but Heimtex isn't going to go, isn't happening. So this is the start of the process. We're just looking at different things. I'm trying to create a very natural look, so it's got a sort of natural element about it, very simple. The design on the top right, that's going to be a huge scene. So that's going to be, at the moment it's 2 lengths, so it'd be 2 yards wide. And it's like clouds going over mountains.
Oh, looks amazing.
Yeah, so that we're going to do, it's silk. And then the one behind it is like, it's a wash technique that's going to go over, and that maybe that's like a, it's like a shutters, like a wood shutters, and then someone drag the ink through it, and that looks great as well. So I'm quite excited about what we're doing. This is the initial stage. We have to put it through the screen process yet, so they're going to get metallics or matte or different designs, different effects. But it's I'm excited to see it.
Wow, that was amazing. We're excited to see it. We're always excited to see you and all the lovely things that you bring.
Can't get over to Canada again. When are we going to travel?
I know.
I said to Lisa when we all logged on and we saw the studio, because we've been there before, I sent her a little cry face emoji. I'm like, oh, I miss traveling and going to these places. It's, it's very inspirational to come into your space and see the process and what you're working on. And so I miss it. I know Lisa misses it. So we can't wait to get back at it.
No, well, I can't wait. I mean, my life's traveling, as same as yours. It's you get experience and you love seeing cultures, and you pick up. I'm just constantly soaking things in, and I tell you what, missing seeing you. last year when I came to Canada, who knows what was going to happen? Who knows that we're going to get into this situation where we're not
Right.
travel anymore? How lucky were we to come over that time? I'm
Yeah.
thinking, well, thank goodness we did, or I did, because I wouldn't have. It was. That's where you got to do things at the moment, haven't you?
Right.
This is about doing things at the moment because you don't know when you're not going to be able to do something very like now.
Well, Tim, speaking about travel, I do have a couple of questions for you from our guests. One of them is asking about your favorite travel destination. Where do you like for design, for inspiration? Where would that be?
I think Paris probably because my experience there and the amount of design and culture and things you've got in Paris are just second to none.
Right.
And New York, of course. I think New York's obviously got a great, you know, great scene and feel and experience. But so yeah, I'd say between those two. But Paris is my number one.
And then we have another guest asking about the difference between residential and commercial. Are there install considerations we should be aware of? So I don't know, maybe Shelley or Tim, whoever wants to answer that question, residential or commercial.
Shall I
Yeah,
jump in?
go. Well, I mean, I can talk a little bit about it. Sometimes it depends what kind of commercial you're talking about. But if you're talking about a hotel hallway where the rooms are, typically you would use something that's a type 2 paper. It's typically a heavier weight, and it's a much wider roll because that it install can go much faster. And there might be some FR properties to it that a residential paper wouldn't have. But a lot of times what we call residential paper, which is typically what the collections we have out, can go into commercial settings, such as like a presidential suite or feature walls behind a headboard. Maybe they won't be in the corridors or in the washroom of the hotel, but there's lots of areas where they do get spec'd and do get used. So
Great. Well, Tim, I guess you can't really add anything to that, can you?
I can always add something.
and there's no installation difference. I mean, you would install it, as you would. So
Yeah, I agree. I think most of our products are fire rated anyway. So it's only like say it's about strength, isn't it? It's about durability and width. And it's actually commercial products are sometimes harder and more durable, but it's not necessarily any different, really. Actually,
Right.
Yeah, like some hotels have done features on ceilings. That's not going to get any much wear and tear. So a residential type product is fine.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's most designers, if you could, we should make all our products so it's durable and it's got a wear and it's pretty strong and it's fibrous anyway. So
yeah.
And then we have another question in terms of installations for, Tim, you spoke about vinyl being great for, high traffic areas and so on. And bathrooms, someone's asking about, the appropriate wall covering for bathrooms. Do you want, I can answer that, you can answer that?
Well, yeah, well, I mean, you can put most products in the bathroom, as long as it depends if it's going how close to the wet area. So if it's very close to the wet area, really you need to use a vinyl or something that's very not I'd say not necessarily a non-woven or a paper. It's better if it's a vinyl that's going to get wet because it's got a resistance.
Right.
But you can put any paper into a bathroom as long as it's not near the wet areas, really. If you're going to get completely wet, whatever it is, it's not. At the end of the day, it's not a tile. It's not a solid, is it? So.
Well, and we always get questions about, can you put grass cloth in a powder room? And I always say yes, but if you have young boys, you may want to rethink it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not exactly white people, is it? More tricky.
So we have another, lots of brilliant shout outs, Tim. People appreciate the fact that you've stayed late to come and join us here. So
no problem. I'm enjoying it. You never get me.
And one of our brand ambassadors, Robert Higgins says hello. I think you know Bobby.
I do know Bobby, yeah.
So he's here watching. He says hello.
Say hello back.
We have another question. Do owners of these big hotels ever speak with you or get consulted with before going ahead with their choices? So I'm not quite sure what that means. Maybe Tim.
Well, we do get people inquiring about all sorts of products. Yeah, I mean, generally it would be the specifier or the designer would be the people that would be in contact with. So not necessarily the hotel itself, because they've always got people they're working through generally. So they're either an architect, specifier, or interior designer. Not necessarily, anyone other than that, really.
Right. And Stacy, I think this is our final question. Stacy is asking about your preference in terms of the more modern kind of the end result of digital printing versus more traditional forms of printing. Do you have a particular style or print that you prefer, or method rather?
I just love them both, actually. They're so different. I mean, the Sisal and the hand woven product is just incredibly fantastic. And, it gives you one look, and then you've got something incredibly modern where you can put metallics or a big geometric on the wall, and it's a separate look. So I think it depends on the space. What a room's got a space. It's what the fireplace is, what the environment is.
Right.
And, so I like them all, really. I'm not got a preference. I just think as long as it looks cool. I just have a mantra. It's got to look cool. And that's it.
As cool as that motorbike looks behind you. Well, Tim, listen, we could sit here and ask you questions all day, but I know it's getting on, and I'm sure you want to get home to your family. So
thank you.
Listen, thank you so much. We miss you, and hopefully we'll be able to see you soon. Thanks for joining us and sharing all that wonderful information and inspiration with us. And yeah, we just hope you stay safe, say hi to the team, and hopefully you'll come and join us again on and get more guests and more questions.
Thanks for inviting me on. Loved it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I'd love to see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim. Be safe. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you next time.